good evening, viewers, and welcome back once again to another chapter of this Tier 3 FPRL season. This time, it's round 17 at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, home to the first race in the US since the famous Indianapolis circuit dropped off, or infamous circuit of, I should say, of Indianapolis for 2005 purposes, dropped off the calendar in 2007. This circuit really is generally liked on the calendar by most drivers. However, do expect in this short qualifying session to see many drivers taking cautious lines to avoid those pesky corner cutting infringements, especially in these wet intermediate conditions. Our Tier 3 champion Snedden unfortunately cannot race this week and is not here on the grid, and this presents a surprise opportunity for his rivals to close in on him. But despite him not being here tonight, he can still wrap up the championship this evening without even racing. His advantage is that great over those behind him in the championship. We'll get into that though a little bit later on, but TJ, thanks once again for joining me this evening. In our championship leader's absence, have you managed this week? I know you've been in some practice sessions with some drivers and speaking to a few of those on the grid tonight. Have you found any drivers that do feel confident and perhaps are looking to pick up a win today, perhaps when such a strong challenger is missing?
Yeah, hi Riddle. Shocked that Snedden's missing from today. So the race itself, I mean, given the practice runs I've had and speaking to a couple of drivers, I know Nigel Piggle's feeling really confident. You've also got Adrian who returns as well. He wasn't feeling so confident yesterday, but he's been putting a bit of practice in. Now he's feeling a lot more confident. I think this also presents a chance to Valenti, who we've seen has got the pace, so that there's a few drivers that are looking to pounce this opportunity for definite.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing tonight with only 15 drivers on the grid, of course. The league rules state that we have to run that short qualifying. Because, of course, with only 15 drivers, it'd be a pretty pointless Q1 session, and especially given the weather conditions out there, no surprise to the drivers out early. Is that an indication perhaps later on in the session it's going to be a little bit more wet towards the end?
Yeah, definitely. It's always a good indication of drivers staying in the pits that it's going to dry up, but in fact everyone else is on track. I imagine if fueled up, I don't know, maybe 3-4 laps, as we found out in this game, that you go around and get the tyres gripped into the track, let the dry line form a little bit. So yeah, once back you see these drivers go 2-3 laps, especially pushing as well, and then come in for a fresh set of intermediates if the track doesn't get wetter.
Yep, definitely. And I don't know how many drivers have had wet running round here. Of course, it's a surprise, really, especially in this one session of qualifying. And of course, I think we were going to have drivers join us later on, but unfortunately, due to a couple of drivers that have kind of dropped out last minute, we are running this single qualifying session. Do you think that's going to present a little bit of a mixed up grid? Of course, I know it's not too different in terms of the tyre choice, because of course in this wet session they'll be able to have free tyre choice for the start of the race, providing it is dry. But do you think that does present a little bit of an opportunity for perhaps some of the drivers that might be further down the grid in traditional circumstances?
Yeah, definitely. The conditions obviously play a factor in that as well. And short quality, that it does change your mind frame quite a bit, because you can't just sit in the pits, let track the brain. You have got to get that lap set. And yeah, the likes of maybe Skivvies, TS9, they'll be definitely looking at confidence on the short quality and seeing if they can break into the top 10.
TS9 and Skivvy, of course, as you mentioned, no disrespect to them, but they have been drivers that have struggled in the traditional qualifying format, so perhaps they could find themselves a little bit further up the grid in this one session qualifying. A driver you mentioned earlier on, Nigel Piggle, putting down the gauntlet earlier on. It's a 45.6 from him in these tricky conditions. Diamond just puts the time to go just short of 4 tenths behind him then, and Tadas, though, is about seconds off at the moment from Nigel Piggle in terms of times. Of course, everyone choosing the times perfect for his current conditions. I do hope it doesn't get more wet as the session goes on, of course, because that will mean these times now count for pole position. We've got an Alpine around. Just sector 3, I think that is.
Yeah.
Or it is Force.
Yeah, it's Force Manure. I think he invalidated his lap. He tried to cool his tyres down, and as you go on the tight 180 turn, as you enter sector 3, he just lost the back end and spun it.
Yeah, nice to see him back this week, though, even in the absence of others. This time won't count for him, of course, as it travels over the line. Interesting to see Nigel Pickle then staying out for a second run. He's 2/10 up currently on his lap at the moment, taking a very wide line over the start-finish line. Does improve on his time very slightly to go with a 1:45.6 once again. Just half a tenth faster than his previous time then. And Valente looking to come around as well. So I think we're seeing drivers here definitely taking a few runs to get used to the conditions, and then 8/10 over the line to go into P4 with a 1:46.4 now then for the Ferrari driver, who has got a win recently. Perhaps he's fancying himself today in the absence of a few fast drivers. Nice to see Adrian back on the grid this week though, TJ. We know he's got a bit of pace in his locker, but we also know that he definitely does not like wet conditions.
Yeah, definitely. Fortunately for the practice session that was run yesterday around here, there was a bit of wet running in the qualifying, and Adrian had some fantastic pace. That will film some massive confidence. He, when I spoke to him after the practice session finished, well, he said he felt really comfortable in the car, and he even shocked himself at how quick he managed to get around on the wet track. So, yeah, watch what Adrian can do here, because I think he'll be a little bit of a dark horse.
Yeah, well, he's definitely feeling confident, staying in the pits at the moment, only just emerging then from the pit lane to start his outlap then 8 minutes into this qualifying session. Maxi now rounding the final sector, coming around the final corner as well. Will he take the similar line running wide off that final corner? No, plays it safe, crosses the line, and it's enough for P4 then with a 1:46.2 at the moment, and that is, as we mentioned in this short qualifying session, that will be provisionally P4 for the race. A little bit disappointing, of course, TJ, towards the end of the season. We do see these slightly reduced grids in terms of attendance, and I think going towards the next game as well doesn't quite help. I think there's a few drivers out there, perhaps you feel the same, TJ, that have kind of committed to the next game that comes out in just a few weeks' time.
Yeah, it's as we all know, this game hasn't been perfect from release. There has been little bugs here with it here and there, and some bigger than others. And yeah, I think drivers just had enough of like the inconsistency of track limits. There's been a recent issue of lobbies where it claims that signing into Xbox Live, and you are signing into Xbox Live, and that's ruining people's races because you've got to get back into the lobby. And AI is taking over, running slow, pitting, etc. So yeah, so you say drivers have just had enough of F1 2021, and are really looking forward to F1 22, where we're hoping they fixed out all the track limits that we're having issues with this game, and all the little niggly bits with the online lobbies.
Yeah, definitely fingers crossed that for the next game, as I mentioned, out in I think exactly a month today, for people that buy the normal version of the game. So just a few rounds left, as I mentioned, round 17 of this 20-round Season 3 of FPRL. And as I mentioned, Snedden, who isn't here tonight, I think he was planning on joining late in the session, from one hearing. But with the reduced qualifying, I don't think he'll make it now. And that will present that opportunity, like I said, to the other drivers to close the gap. We know the championship's almost wrapped up, but it can be wrapped up. Let's hop up tyres from the session then. The S's, I think it is here. We'll run over with Skewed, see if we can see exactly where that Red Bull is parked. And it is on the inside wall there, so he's just looks like he's lit it up the rears on that exit curb. He'll start no higher than P9 then, depending on what other drivers can do. But as I said, TJ, it is possible. I said that we would touch upon it later on. Snedden can still wrap up the championship tonight despite not being here, but it's my understanding that the caveat for that to work is a little bit, let's say, rare. Oh, Espenio joins as well, so we're going to get 16 on the grid at the start of the race. Now, let's see if we can get a lap in. So we could have had 4 qualifying in the end. Thank you for that, Espenio, joining late in the session. Let's see if your fan club join us in the chat, though. But, yeah, as I said, TJ, oh, it's skip it. Uses the back end, and he has gone round as well in the challenging conditions. Invalidates. As it becomes a bit of a lawnmower there. But, yeah, I don't know the exact permutations, TJ. I don't know if you know them for the race. As I said, Snedden can become the champion even though he's not here.
Yeah, that's right. It's a little bit. I mean, it's very. It would become down to pure luck, I think, if Snedden leads tonight. There is obviously a caveat around it that if Tyler scores 1 point, Nigel scores 2, Mags has to score 8, Valenti scores 11, and Locke has to score 17. But unfortunately, Locke can't make it. So, you know, with Tyler on Nigel and Nigel only needing 1 and 2 points. You'd bank on them to at least get them around here, so it's very unlikely he'll become champion tonight. But there's always that chance that the 4 gentlemen I've just mentioned could finish outside the points.
Yep, highly unlikely, and it's most likely going to trickle over to next week in Mexico. Then 3 rounds before the end of this season 3. While we're talking there, TJ, I'm Not Good, who we know has performed in tricky conditions before, has set the fastest time then, a 1:45.4 from him, puts him provisionally on pole with 6 minutes to go of the session on 4-lap-old intermediate tyres. So it does seem like the best way to get a lap time out of these tyres is definitely to run those tyres for a few laps rather than not any at all.
Yeah, it's something that I've particularly noticed, and the same I think other drivers have as well. As I'm Not Good from there, that the rubber pinters, they obviously give them the best grip, but that you find that they come into their own as you run around a couple of laps and start just laying that grip down a little bit. And obviously I don't think a dry line is forming. I think the vein is getting heavier from what I'm seeing. But even so, them tyres are worn in, they're gripping to the track a little bit more. And yeah, with a lighter fuel load around it, he's just obviously pumped in that lap.
Yeah, great time for the McLaren driver then to put himself, as I mentioned, onto provisionally pole position with 5 minutes to go of the session. Adrian seemed like he was taking forever on his outlap, and in fact towards the end of the lap he did put it into the wall. And he has got no front wing, so he has to come back into the pit to change that front wing. The rain looks like it's getting a little bit heavier now. Espenio, in fact, is out there on wet tyres, and we can't see it on the graphic because I'm showing the best tyres at the moment. There we go. We can see what the current tyres are of the drivers at the moment then. So now there's 3 drivers out of the 16 on the grid that have selected the wet compound of tyre. We thought it might get a little bit wet towards the end of the session with how quickly everyone was coming out the pits, TJ, but surely on those wet tyres we can't be seeing many drivers improving massively now if indeed the conditions are too wet.
Yeah, definitely. That isn't what Adrian Espenio and TS9 need at this point in no time on the board. It definitely is getting wet. I'm still on board with Skip going round. And he's literally just touching the throttle going through sector 1 for the S's, and the back end's just stepping on constantly. So yeah, so anyone on the inters who's out currently is on the wrong side for definite.
Now, I've been watching Espenio's outlap, and despite him joining late on in this qualifying session, does not look like he is going to get a representative time on the board. One driver that definitely won't get a time on the board is TS9, who's dropped it out of the final corner. Espenio is even struggling on the full wet tyres. The rain is now falling that hard. So you can tell as well on the camera, you know, it's definitely wet tyre conditions. TS9 found that out the hard way, I think, as you mentioned, on those intermediates, struggling. So, kind of lend itself to... I know Espenio's still got to set a lap, so has Adrian, and perhaps Panic End's time will also fall into a wet... time for wet tyres, so perhaps really the only good position to be sorted at this point are 13th to 15th.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Which is a shame at this point. Obviously, for the 2 jumps, I've got times on the board here. I mean, Panic End's out on intermediates, and I can't see how he's going to get any quicker. He's tricked, he hasn't got a front wing on, shall I say. He's invalidated with no front wing, so I imagine that's Panic End out. So it's just purely down to Adrian as what Spinner can do it. But although Adrian has come out on the centre vintage, which is pretty surprising at this point.
Yeah, Adrian fancying his chances then intermediate tyres. I think he'll struggle at this point looking at the weather conditions. We've been watching Espenio's lap on the way around. He looks like he has been struggling still on those wet tyres. So yeah, definitely struggling to get the pace in. And we're going to get an indication then as to a wet weather time with the Haas driver here, who did join late on and was unable to set a time on the intermediates for that reason. Exterior conditions and surely now mean I'm not good, who's still in the pit lanes with 2 minutes to go, will take pole position. TJ, have you just seen something out there?
Yeah, Adrian's come out mechanical start his hot lap, he's put his foot on the accelerator and lost the back end and points in the wall straight away. He hasn't visually got any wind damage, but I imagine he's got some sort of how hard he hit the wall.
So A-Drain, as some people call him, in these wet conditions. Yeah, you can blatantly tell that they're the wrong tyres to put on that AlphaTauri, and he gets quickly out the way of Espenio, who's looking to perhaps put another time in on the board. He has beat at least Panic End, who not going to time in now, choosing to stay in the pits then, and start them 13, I think, on that basis.
I mean,
Adrian won't get a time in.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
I mean, while
Panic End's come out.
while we wait for the last drivers to put in, I don't think you've mentioned it yet, but even if standards can see this, the Alfa Romeo team can actually wrap up the Tier 3 constructors today. All they need to ensure is that Williams don't outscore them by, I think it's 22 points. So massive task on hand for both the Williams boys to try and push that through to the next round. And if Tadas obviously she's in a high position, makes that job even harder. So it's not all doom and gloom for the Alfa Romeo boys today. It is possible that we can wrap up at least one of the championships. So yeah, we'll have to pick out later in the race and see where we go for that one.
Yeah, I think we've known for a while, really, that pairing is perhaps considered the best on the grid. And that's backed up by those, as you've said, those championship results. As Espenio across the line of 49.7 from him, he will get another lap on the board if he fancies taking another lap. He's 1.4 seconds of force manure in P12. That's not a bad effort considering the delta difference on those tyres and the weather conditions, as well as Adrian does put a time on the board then to start P15. With 2 minutes 18, absolutely rapid pace there from the AlphaTauri driver. His finest lap in qualifying this season, I think that was. To put him P15. And yeah, so Tadas starting P3 then, TJ. Obviously, you mentioned the Alfa Romeo in the constructors. Big opportunity now. Even though his teammate isn't quite here to celebrate it with him today, it's looking good for Alfa Romeo in terms of wrapping up the constructors then. As drivers did come back out onto track. Nigel Pickle was out there, as well as Tadas, as well as Maxi as well. All looking to perhaps improve. They are running the intermediate tyres, but I think it was a bit too much of an ask late on in the session.
Yeah, definitely. Maxi on the wet tyres, so he's definitely not going to improve, but he hasn't validated it. And yeah, Nigel probably going to fault. No, Nigel's going to come over the start finish line. Almost drops it, actually. Very lucky boy.
I'm just banning a nice person from the chat. There we go. Those bots in there trying to buy us some viewers today, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the end of qualifying then. There is your top 16. It looks like we're going to get for the grid. The race will start very shortly. I'm not a big fan of short qualifying. I don't think many people are. I'm pretty sure this is the first short qualifying season.
Yeah, it says this says 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it'll be a shock to these guys. Yeah, you'll see it's not a very nice experience. Um, you don't get much running it, obviously. Obviously, the biggest question we haven't answered and we don't know till we load in is if it's going to be a wet race now.
Yep, and of course, given the conditions in qualifying, that if it is a dry race, all the drivers will have then free tyre choice at the start of the race. It'll be interesting to see what strategies people go for there. But there is your classification for short qualifying in this Tier 3 United States Grand Prix. And it is I'm Not Good who takes pole position, with Nigel Piggel and Tadas behind him in the top 3. Diamond P4, Maxi P5, Mongo, great qualifying from him. P6, I'm pretty sure that's his highest this season. The 2 Ferraris then, Linus Stern on row 4, Valente and David Lopez in rounding up the top 10. Willy Bum and Hobnob then, P9 and P10 as well. 2 Red Bulls in the top 10. We love to see it in Tier 3. I think that's the first time it's happened this season. Thankfully, I can't say why, of course. I have a Red Bull driver at times. I've been known to drive a Red Bull. Yeah, so we now go into the race. It does look to be a dry race then here in Austin. And we'll see then if any of the 16 drivers chooses to ready up before the host. Hopefully not. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
less people, less opportunity, I think, as well. It's a little bit of a different conversation, TJ, of course, because we haven't done a short qualifying before, as I said, so it's a little bit... we're not used to this on commentary. Running a short qualifying. We've missed out on pole for pole. We've missed out on talking about the strategy, so we'll touch upon that now then. In terms of the strategy, what do you think the drivers will be running at the start of this race? Will it be mediums? Will it be hards? Will it be softs?
The soft side is obviously going to be the quickest round here, but it does wear out quite quickly. I imagine a lot of these drivers are going to start on the medium tyres. They are, how can I say this? They don't hook up to the track as good. You do feel a bit wobbly going through the corners, but they'll give you the better strategy, especially if a safety car comes out and obviously you can run longer into the race, perhaps put a set of hards on or even softs if people want to try and push that much. So yeah, I think we'll see a split between mediums and softs.
Yeah, that seems to be the kind of murmurs I'm hearing from some of the drivers on the grid then, and thankfully it does look as though the drivers are all abiding to the rules this week. TJ, as you say, the rule book. They are all following the rule book then, and they are not readying up before the host, which tonight is, of course, Force Manure. Nice to see him back on the grid. Perhaps not the qualifying he would have wanted, but nonetheless, he is still here. And still with the opportunity of points, of course, with the reduced grid. So it is anyone's game today for points. In terms of safety cars, TJ, for this race, we know they affect strategy an awful lot in some tracks. Here, though, I don't personally expect to see many safety cars. I don't know about you, but I don't think we'll see that many. Fingers crossed, maybe?
No, I don't think we will. The track has got a lot of runoff areas. The only time we potentially see a safety car is if drivers unfortunately come off the curb on the second final corner and sort of T-bone the pit, like the pit wall type thing. Or, as I've had experience doing, and saw someone do it last night as well, who I won't mention, they do drop it in the pit lane, and which brings back a safety car because you block the pit lane entry.
Yeah, well, we won't name and shame here at FPRL. We'll avoid name and shaming perhaps the individual that did that.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting race, definitely. Obviously, a couple of drivers out of place. Adrian starting from the back, we know he's got a lot of pace as well here. So, I mean, what do you think about the DRS zones? Do you think they give you much of an advantage, or do you think we'll?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the first DRS zone, I think. So I think we'll see a lot of. I think it's definitely a track you can overtake on, and that's why I think drivers do enjoy this track more than others, perhaps. Because I think there is an opportunity to overtake. definitely done that first DRS and done that long straight. I think it's very easy for drivers to get past that. Almost too easy, I think, with the DRS, of course. It depends how people manage their ERS as well. Because there is, I have known it, you can defend down, even if you don't have the DRS, you can defend quite well down that first DRS zone, depending on how close the driver is behind. So yeah, I think this track is liked generally by most of the grid. I don't know about you, TJ. Do you enjoy this race? I'm not particularly swayed one way or the other, but I mean, it might be a good job that I'm not racing it this Friday. But for yourself, do you echo that sentiment?
Yeah, I do. You can defend down to them like DRS. I also think the second DRS zone is pretty powerful, and you can be very overtaken into that. As we are losing into the grid now, we're just going to see what the drivers are on. And from my initial look at getting Friday stuff, actually it looks like we've got a bit of as expected, it looks a bit 50-50, and then we've got TS9 on the hards.
Yeah, I'm not good on pole on the medium tyres. Nigel Pickle follows him. Tadas on the softs. Very interesting from him. We know Tadas has got pace then. And looking to put those soft tyres on early. You just saw flick up on the screen then. He predicted tyre strategy. Provided, of course, by AWS. Press your Sky Glass now, red button. To get on board with all the drivers. If you've got Sky Glass or... what's the other one? Sky Q?
Sky Q, yeah.
Sky Q, so Sky Q or Sky Glass. Customers can press the red button, of course. Live here on Twitch to get the onboards of all the drivers. I see the race highlights. Of course, I'm joking. Please put back on the stream highlights when the stream is uploaded after the race then. So yeah, I'm not good. Nigel Pickle on the medium tyres, Tadas on the soft. Diamond on the mediums as well. Maxi, Mongo, Palente. Interesting enough, the two Ferraris differing on strategy then on the softs and the mediums. Willybum, soft and Hoblum. Do you know, TJ, next season, when we have the ruling from F1 2022 that dictates, of course, for the new season, the drivers that get through in Q2 don't have to start on the same compound tyres. It might make the conversation on the formation up a little bit more interesting, like we have today.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it. I know a lot of people don't like the fact they've scrapped that rule, but I'm glad they've scrapped it. I think it adds a lot more entertainment value into it, and it gives the underdogs a bit more of a little bit of an advantage, especially if they get through to the top 10. The perhaps to expect to be there. I think it gives them so much more of an advantage to stay up there and try to challenge the top runners.
Yeah, I've always thought it was a little bit harsh to penalise the top 10 in terms of starting on those tyres. I know it adds a little bit of excitement for the race, but I've always thought the guy in 10th place, it might be Kevin Magnussen or Valtteri Bottas, for example, this season. I don't think they should be punished for starting on the same compound of tyres. Drivers then will line up on the grid. I'm not good has gone a little bit early in that McLaren. Nigel Pickle now bring up P2 just behind him. As they load into their grid positions. Also, yeah, TJ, for the next game, we might see some drivers overshoot their box for the grid. As I believe it's manual for next season, it's not automatic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got that, and then we got the pit lane where you flick yourself into the pit lane. We'll talk about that very shortly as we get the lights on. And we've got the 5 lights, and away they go. I've got the shiftest angle ever here, but looks like got a good start there. We're going to be dealing to Banaj, probably to turn more. Tadas up the other side as well.
Yeah, I'm not good in a sandwich. Then into turn 1, bit of contact as well between Tadas and I'm not good, but the McLaren driver gets away with it. A huge wobble for him there, but he carries on then in P2. It's always interesting into turn 1, and Austin, the driver on the left-hand side, often into turn 1 can afford to brake a little bit later and force the guy on pole out of the way, and that's exactly what's happened here. Nigel Pickle then into the lead provisionally at the moment. And Bolento to P4 as well. Great start from him on those soft tyres. Exactly what he needed. And dispatching of Diamond and Maxi in the Williams then up to P4. His teammate though unfortunately not had the best of starts, but perhaps that is because he's on those medium tyres. And here they come then towards the end of sector 2, and I'm not good looking to go up the inside of Nigel Pickle and retakes the lead momentarily. But Nigel Pickle with the better exit on the corner, then a little bit of contact between the two of them there as they come then to the middle of sector 3. Nigel Pickle retakes the lead, and I'm not good nearly round. What a save from the McLaren driver, but he drops then down out of the top 3 and into P4.
Yeah, that'll be on medium tyres. Just haven't got the grip, and that's the best that Jarvis
Oh,
have to
it is
take.
round. It's round, TJ.
No.
He's round, the pole sitter in his first ever pole position. He's round, and perhaps those medium tyres did not get up to temperature indeed. And he's struggling again. He looks like he's cooked the rears. He's round at the final corner.
Ooh.
He said before the race he had not got a good feeling, and now he runs at the back of the field. Cut adrift from now P14. Force manure into the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm on board with Adrian currently. He is a man on the mission. He's gained 8 places on the first lap, and he made a fantastic double overtake into turn 1 just. Yeah, watch what he's doing them softs, because he's crossing through the field very, very quickly here.
Tadas as well, right behind then Nigel Pickle in P2. Diamond then, yeah, down to P5 on those medium tyres. And so as expected, the start of this race, those medium tyre runners really struggling now to get through this opening phase of the race. Looks like we're going to be dry throughout at the moment, of course. Lap 2 of 28, not a cloud in the sky here in Austin at the moment. Then Tadas pushing Nigel Pickle along then, TJ. Apart from TS9, who's running the hard tyres down in P13, are we pretty much confirmed then now to be running a 2-stop race for the rest of the grid?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the fastest way to go from this point. So obviously soft. I'm not sure we can do soft, mediums, or whether it's going to be soft, medium. But with a safety car fit on there, I'm sure the guys can get soft, medium work. But yeah, it's definitely two-stop race. And I think this point is the quickest way to do it.
Valente looking very quick indeed at the moment, up 4 off the start of the race. Adrian, as you mentioned, up to P6 then, up 9 from that disappointing qualifying, up to P5 now as well. Having gone ahead of Diamond, who's fighting back, and he is. No, he's not up to P5. Let's watch the fight that's going on here then. Diamond giving the AlphaTauri driver a hard time at the moment, trying to get past and into the top 5 as it stands then. But Tadas is all over the back of Nigel Pickle. Yellow flag out in sector 1. Now it's Skivid, I think, that's had an instant through the S's then in the early part of the lap, struggling at the moment there, but it is definitely at the moment at the start of this race, it is Adrian and Bolente, the huge gamers off the start.
Yeah, it is, and that's the advantage of the soft tyres, especially from the start, and fresh stuff obviously. They give you that extra advantage, which the guys are pointing to brilliant use at this point. As we try to see Adrian make another move up the damage, just made a fantastic defensive movement into the corner there. Really frustrates Adrian at this point, but obviously at some point them softs are going to drop off, and Adrian, both drivers won't be as quick, and their mediums will come up to temperature. So Diamond just needs to stick with these guys really. Looks like he's about to lose another place to Willy Bomb, although he's managed to keep ahead just at the moment.
Yeah, and while you were discussing that fight there for P5, TJ Tadas has gone into the lead of the race. A great overtake on Nigel Pickle down into the DRS zone. It was a bit of argy-bargy between them two for a few corners, but it is Tadas who comes out on top, given that soft tyre advantage, as you mentioned, at the moment. Lap 4 of 28, and surely in a couple of laps' time, Nigel Pickle's tyres on those mediums will start to come into their own. Perhaps he will have the better pace over those at the front of the field at the moment. Then Maxi in the Williams looking pretty punchy as well, gets back ahead of Bolente then into P3 now and occupying the podium positions. The Williams driver, I mean, He's struggled recently in races. He hasn't perhaps had the form that he showed early part of the season. It felt like we were interviewing absolutely every single week as Tadas, our race leader, drops out of the session, so we might see an overtake for the lead here. But yeah, in terms of Maxi, he hasn't performed recently as well as he might have expected, as we do see Nigel Pickle take the lead from that decent Tadas. But running P3 at the moment, perhaps he can feel a little bit confident for a podium here, TJ.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't remember what race we saw where they shoes. I think it was it Austria, France, maybe, where we saw both of those boys drop off, to be honest. And he struggled to gain the form back since. But so yeah, so that's been a massive confidence boost for Magsi, especially showing the time if he does manage to keep his podium, which hopefully he does. But I mean, at this point, his podium still won't mean much if you want to factor in constructors, as they need to get that 22-point gap. Outscore the Alfa Romeo boys by 22 points, which at the moment they're not really doing.
Yep, Tadas has dropped down to P4 though, since being decent from the session, so he'll want to get back into that car as soon as possible. Maxi now onto lap 5, harassing the lead at the moment. Nigel Pickle. David Lawface has retired then. We have our first retiree. Will that bring out a safety car? It does indeed then. So I'm not sure if that was an unforced error there from David Lawface, who has dropped it in the early part of the lap into the S's. Very strange place to lose the car if that was an unforced error. I'm not too sure if there was contact there between him and another driver. We can see if any of the drivers perhaps are missing parts of their car. But yeah, the first safety car of the race then.
Yeah, I'm surprised the safety car has come out, to be honest. This Force Pure picks a time penalty for under the safety car, which is really unfortunate. That has really surprised me. I've pulled the safety car out at this point. Really interesting to see if we see any movements in tyres as well. Will soft runners come in for set mediums, or will they try push hard to the end? Will the medium runners come out, seeing how much the softs are doing, and put a set of softs on? It's a bit of an unknown as we wait for Nigel Pickle to come onto pit lane and see what the leading cars do at this point, really. As they come on the final corner, and Nigel Pickle, Nigel Pickle did a dummy as he usually does.
I'm not sure what he's got to gain from there. He's not on the same strategy as those behind him. So yeah, Maxi Valente, as predicted, all coming to the pits. All the soft tyre runners then so far coming into the pit lane, and the medium tyre runners stay out as you would expect. And interesting to see what tyres these drivers go for now. Mediums and for all of those coming into the pits at the moment. And I think that is a wise choice at this point. I think the driver has put the hard... Oh no, it's just TS9 on the hard tyres going up to B4 then. Looking to run long into this race. And yeah, Maxi will rejoin P5, fresh mediums for him. Do you think he only needs one stop to get to the end of the race now, TJ?
Yeah, one more stop. I imagine he'll take his tyres to lap 18 maybe, and perhaps try and run softs to the end. The guys that started on softs comes off in a fantastic position at this point for definite. They can probably run these for at least 10 laps, the mediums for another 10 to 12 laps, and then stick the set of softs on for the last stint for definite.
Yep, definitely. And perhaps, of course, that depends on future safety cars at the moment. This brings drivers back into touch. The likes of Force Mignon that had to pit on the first lap, Skibid as well, looking to pick up some points if they can at all today. We're only a quarter of the way. Not even a quarter of the way through this race at the moment, as we are currently on lap 6 at the moment. Is still Nigel Pickle at the front of the field, and Diamond yet to pit, Spenio yet to pit, and TS9 too. The top 4 at the moment. Downwards have all coming to the pit lane apart from I'm Not Good. Saw half that instant on the opening lap then. A complete mistake by himself, an unforced error from the McLaren driver and pole sitter today. So disappointed that he's now running in P12.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, we have mentioned he has struggled with his form this season, to be honest. and to get the pole in the wet conditions would have been fantastic boost for him. But yeah, to going P12 after getting that pole, his first ever pole in FPRL, you know, it's enough to kick a man down. As I will get Hobnob back in as well now.
13 then for Red Cross, that top 10 in qualifying. Unfortunately, not running in the points at the moment. Mongo, another driver that's lost out slightly. Two Red Bull drivers run at 6th and 10th. Now run 10th and 13th at the moment. Then driver has gained Panic End, who we saw have those issues in qualifying. There he is, up 3 at the moment from that P14 that he started at the beginning of the race. And of course, those drivers that haven't pitted at the moment, Espenio and TS9 in P3 and P4, up 12 and 10 places.
Well, as Adrian has just dropped it in the S season, points off down to P14.
It's not even raining, lad. It's dry. What are you doing?
Dropped it under a safety car. It's about 70 miles per hour. What an absolute fraud.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, dear. And the two Alpha Tigers now then run 14 and P15.
I have heard a video message from Nigel Pickle to his pit wall, and he is saying that the team have got his wing set up wrong and that he is suffering with understeer.
Yeah, I mean, bad builder blames his tools, so we'll go with that for Nigel Pickle there. Perhaps leading the race, and he has led the majority of the race, but blaming his tools there. Yeah, quickly the Twitch chat. TS9 says Depp won. Well, thankfully, the justice system in America works in some way. Then
Yep.
Johnny Depp, you heard it here, probably not first, has managed to win the case against the bitter Amber Heard. Saying that on stream, but yeah, that's clearly what the jury felt as well. As Nigel Pickle then looking to lead us up to a restart then, and take us on to lap 8, and he's gone very early indeed, but Darwin has not been caught out and is right behind the Haas driver then, and perhaps will look to make a move with a little bit of slipstream down into turn 1, but it looks like Nigel Pickle has just about got enough then off that final corner to get the gap to mean that Diamond cannot make a move into that opening corner. And Espenio, his teammate though, has dropped off the back of the front two at the moment, running similar tyres at the moment, but up to P3 as it stands, has got Maxi on those fresh tyres all behind him at the moment.
Yeah, Mags did a fantastic job into turn 1 to get after to do TS9. Valenti was a little back on the TS9's after session now, and I'll get him back in. Code Master's doing an absolutely fantastic session on the lobby tonight.
And people wonder why we can't pull the full grid anymore. This is why. Code Masters. I don't know what happened to this game like the past few weeks. The drivers are just having such connectivity issues in races. I mean, even I've had them, and yeah, I've not had them all season, but yeah, TS9 now falling down the grid, of course, not being in that car. He's back in there. Can he continue on? He's down to P6 now as it stands. He's carrying that penalty at the moment. It's interesting to touch on the penalties then. So 3 seconds for TS9. 3 seconds for I'm Not Good. 3 seconds for Force Manure and Skimming as well, rounding off the back of the field then. But Magsy's tyres surely in better shape than Espenio's at the moment. He is all over the back of the Haas driver. If Espenio's fan base are in the chat right now, tell your boy to put a helmet on, because for some reason he's driving around without a helmet on at the moment.
Yeah.
As Hobnob at the back of the field then looks like he's had a spin.
Yeah, I think it was contact between Hobnob and I'm Not Good in the second to final corner, and Hobnob unfortunately has come worse off him. Yeah, dropped it into the wall and lost his front wing, so we'll wait and see if it even comes to the stewards about that one. I mean, I think it was close. I think I'm Not Good has got fresher tyres and it's quicker, so yeah, it's a hard one to call at this point, but yeah, we'll see if anything comes to the stewards on that one.
Diamond is pushing Nigel Piggle along the road at the moment. DRS, I don't know if it's enabled yet. This next lap it gets enabled. But at the moment, the Mercedes is so much more pace, and perhaps what Nigel Piggle was saying then about that wing difference is really now coming into effect. Diamond then looking to make a move up the inside of Nigel Piggle here at the end of the straight without that DRS assistance. Nigel Piggle that gets the better toe off the corner and pulls away. Maxie's left the session as well, running in P4. What is going on in this race?
Yeah, this is shocking.
Nigel Piggle leads the way still in the Haas at the moment. Then Diamond has to sit contently behind him. And a little bit of a flip onto AI there for Nigel Piggle. Looks like it's put him a little bit vulnerable at the moment. And will Diamond takes a very wide line there through the second to last corner, then coming around the final corner now. DRS, of course, will not be enabled on this straight, but it will be enabled on this lap, and he will get an overtaking opportunity later on. It seems like Nigel Piggle is indeed struggling at the moment, TJ, with what you said about that wing issue.
Yeah, obviously most of his car setup must be soft. I have seen it a couple times this season where drivers have set their cars up, go on the softer tyres, and it sticks really well. But as soon as you go to a different compound, the car just doesn't agree to it. And I wonder if that's what Nigel Piggle's done here.
I know Diamond's got pace. He's definitely a driver that does have some pace. When you can find it, it's a little bit track dependent, I find, for the Mercedes man, but he's definitely enjoying himself at the moment, and will, with DRS assistance, can he get ahead then of that Haas? He had half a look on the last lap, chooses to use a little bit of ERS this time round, now then with the slipstream as well, and he has to stay behind for another lap, it would seem. Then that is one of the prime overtaking opportunities, and does indeed sit behind the Haas driver then. On round once again, then further back in the field, Force Manure now into the top 10, but carrying 6 seconds worth of penalties at the moment, and so will drop out. As it stands, if the race was to end now, he would drop out of those points positions at the moment. Maxie's car that was running top 4, pretty much in the lead in terms of strategy. Now down to P8 then behind his teammate and Mongo, due to disconnecting from the session, having those connectivity issues. This is something we really need addressing, TJ, because this is ruining people's races, and it's through no fault of their own at this point.
Yeah, it is, and as you mentioned, it's only started happening in the past 3-4 weeks. I don't know whether they're getting something ready for F1 22 and they've just not gone to the F1 2021 servers, but yeah, it's every race now. Even the host gets it. I host tier 2 races and I get the disconnect, and it's so weird because it claims you're not signed into Xbox Live, and you are, and you get straight back into the lobby, so it's really weird what's happening.
Yep, unfortunately, there's been a few victims of that tonight then, but one driver who hasn't fallen foul to that at the moment is Diamond, who is making advances on Nigel Piggle once again then. Once again, he is not close enough to make a move at the end of that first ERS zone. He has such superior ERS levels as well. The battery, he's able to save much better than the Haas driver at the moment, but cannot find a way past. As it stands, it just seems like, for whatever it is, despite them having a similar sort of age in tyres, perhaps in terms of wear, Diamond just cannot get the launch off that corner for that DRS straight.
Yeah, that may be where the wing differences are, maybe. I mean, if Nigel's got understeer, he is cooking his tyres a lot more, and he'll have a higher tyre deg. Eventually, them tyres will give up on him, but the Diamond really needs to get this moved on as soon as possible, really, and get ahead of the Haas driver. I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, Nigel's ERS levels are really low, and I've just seen him recharging down to turn 1. So it's sure it's not going to be long now before Diamond gets this moved on.
Can get that launch off that corner, I have no doubt that he will make it past Nigel Piggle and take provisionally the lead of the race anyway. But of course, they are on a different strategy at the moment. Those behind them, Valente and Tadas, running 5-lap-old tyres, but despite the tyre age, TJ, they have managed to pull out about a 4-second gap at the moment. It's these two have got a bit of underlying pace compared to the rest of the field, or do you think those behind are just saving their tyres at this point?
No, I do think that they have got more pace compared to the rest of the field. I would definitely expect Valente to be closer to the top two with them fresher tyres. I can't see why they would be tyre saving at this point. I mean, you potentially got another 5-6 laps on these and potentially considering going to softs unless drivers are really considering trying to do a one-stop on.
As Tadas makes his way up into P3 ahead of Valente, then, so perhaps these two trading places is not helping their race in the slightest, as Diamond once again continues on behind Nigel Pickle, then on to lap 13. Now we're lucky for some, but let's hope that the drivers out there don't cause another safety car, at least for their sakes at the moment. Perhaps that's something Nigel Pickle and Diamond might enjoy if we get a safety car now, of course. Hard tyres till the end, but they continue on, and as things stand, they will have to take, unless they do choose to go into the hard tyres, an extra pit stop over the rest of the field. But is that something they're looking to do then, TJ? Are they looking to go onto the hard tyres? But surely now those drivers... Oh, it's Nigel Pickle's round, I think!
Yeah, he's touched it, Nigel has. He's got no front wing.
But the track a little bit suspect there in the middle of the S's, but it doesn't look like anyone else has collected him. Adrian, I think, got out of the way of Nigel Pickle and picked up a 3-second penalty for that. That's a little bit harsh for me, for Adrian there, but rules are rules. And Nigel Pickle there, yeah, I feel like if Adrian was to perhaps feel that Nigel Pickle blocked him rejoin the track, it would be Nigel perhaps getting the penalty. But yeah, I did say I was looking for some lap 13, then TJ, and the race leader without a front wing running P11 will have to come into the pits, and surely now, barring any safety cars, out of the running for the win today.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a long way. He's only just come to the end of sector 2 here. He's got to put on the front wing on, so yeah, without a safety car, he's out of the points running. I imagine he's got to put a set of hards on as well. I can't see the softs going 15, 16 laps here. So yeah, so Nigel's race is effectively over.
Yep, and that promotes, of course, those drivers behind him, and Diamond making the most of this opportunity then into the pits then on lap 13. Surely now he puts a set of softs on then, so he will take another pit stop before the end of this race. The soft tyres, I thought surely he must go to the hards now, but it is the soft tyres.
That's got to be a mistake from the Mercedes driver there. I don't understand why you'd come in and put a set of softs on, but Adrian's done the same. Okay, he's got the front wing damage, but he's put a set of softs on. But yeah, I think Darren might have just took away the win there.
Well, in doing so, he has allowed Tadas then to provisionally take the lead of this race. Alfa Romeo, as we know, can wrap up the Constructors' title this evening. All they have to do is outscore Williams by a certain amount of points, TJ.
Yeah, Williams have to outscore Alfa Romeo by 22 points, and with Tadas winning, yeah, they haven't got that 22 points to need. With Willie Bum and P3 and Magazine P6. Oh, actually, have they?
Willie Bum will be 15 without fastest lap, and Magazine will be 8, so no, they won't outscore Tadas, as it is the only Alfa Romeo in the session today. They won't outscore if it was to finish like this, of course, but there is a long way to run. We are only at half distance at the moment of this round 17 tier 3 race around Austin, Texas. And Mongo then, who was running high up in P5 then for Red Bull, has had an issue, and he was coming into sector 3, and I think, TJ, I didn't see the incident, but did he light up by the curb and spin it round by any chance?
Yeah, the medium tires just starting to join that back end of sector 3. He's a very lucky boy to not pick up wing damage as well. So I thought he could keep on the wall as well, so he is continuing round with them beers. But yeah, the drivers are definitely struggling on the mediums, going through that 180 corner and keeping the tyres under control.
Yeah, of course. Corner ripped essentially from. Let's see. What track was it? What track is that? The way around? I think it's Sochi, isn't it? That runs that corner the other way around.
Yes.
A little bit more fluid there, though. TS9 now has retired in the same place that David Lowface managed to, and it is a safety car then. So the second safety car today. Didn't think we'd see too many safety cars, but he's ended up the other side of the track actually. David Lowface managed to end up, and a little bit further down the road from where the Ferrari driver retired earlier on. And TS9 then out of this race. Who does this at this point, TJ? Who does this benefit? Surely Aspenio, who's in P5 on those 14 lap old mediums now, will benefit from that cheap pit stop. And Force Majeure as well, P6 at the moment might look to change his tyres to the end of the race. Is there anyone else at the moment that might choose to pit? Surely perhaps the leaders might think about coming to the pits as well.
Yeah, I think everyone in the top 10, to be honest, should come in, because then you said, I know Diamond and Adrian Venice put them softs on, but I'd be first to try and ditch them soft tyres, as Diamond is coming in as expected, so we'll see if Adrian does the same as he comes around. But yeah, I think I imagine all the drivers are going to try to put a set of mediums on here and go to the end.
Yep, and they are all indeed coming into the pits, and of course those drivers that have run the two sets of tyres can choose to put the medium tyres on. Aspenio, the P6, has to put the hard tyres on. Diamond into the pit lane as well.
Adrian has decided to stay out on them softs, so he must be confident he can get these tyres to the end, as it was very close between Adrian and Force Majeure there.
Adrian does get ahead then of the Alpine. Of course, we know running in the points at the moment. Lovely to see that at the moment. I think the safety car will be out for surely. It'll take another lap to go round now. Might just be 2 laps then. Adrian is already running those soft tyres. They are 1 lap old at the moment, and if the safety car only stays out perhaps for another lap, I can't see how he can get those to the end of the race.
No, I don't think he can. I don't know why he hasn't come in to put a fresh set of mediums on just once the end. It was a free pit stop for the AlphaTauri driver. Don't get me wrong, he's definitely got the pace for at least 5-6 laps, but is he going to get the moves done and build the gap he needs to get to the end? I just can't see he can do it. As Aspenio and Diamond both are decided to go for the hard tyres, which, once again, running the hards at this point, obviously they'll definitely make it, but given the struggles the guys have had on the medium tyres, surely running the hards just a bit of a suicide mission for the two drivers.
Yeah. To the end of the race, definitely can't see that being the first strategy. Safety car will stay out for at least another lap. At the moment, of course, people did play into Adrian's hands ever so slightly. I think it was faking it.
I've had another message from Nigel to his pit wall, and he's moaning about his setup again, and it's gone from understeer to oversteer now. That's the issue why he dropped it. And people are going to laugh at him, saying that how's it gone from understeer to oversteer in 30 minutes, Nigel?
Well, great, Nigel Piggle does not need to answer that. He simply runs his own race. He does what he wants. He doesn't need to answer anyone there, Nigel. Don't worry about that, mate. You run your own race. You have your understeer, you have your oversteer. Don't worry about that. And TJ's now left the session.
Yeah, I've been signed off to Xbox Live, supposedly.
You have? I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, yeah. We love Codemasters and their glitchy lobbies.
Oh, TJ, there's a nuke. Someone's just got a 25 kill streak.
Oh, no. Oh, absolutely devastating.
Force Manuel's just got a 25 kill streak, and he's won the race. That's it. We can declare the result. Lap 17. Force Manuel with his 25 kill streak
I've
has won the race.
I've just seen Adrian's left the game, so he's disgusted about that nuke.
Oh well, you see, told you the nuke hands the wins.
As he's back in the lobby, which is what we like to see. That nuke hasn't put him off for too long. As a safety car is coming in after the calm it down from the 25 kill streak that Force Manuel just had. TaDas will be leading them away from the safety car restart. Not really backing the pack up, so I imagine you'll start slowing down very shortly. Otherwise, the game will automatically slow you down. TaDas, if you are listening, please slow down. I imagine he's going to pull him to the line here, so we'll see what he does. But this is still a fantastic result from the Alfa Romeo boys. As he is coming on the final corner, and yeah, as expected, he's going to the line, and I think Valente's got the jump on him.
Yeah, he left it right until that line of Valente looking to go around the outside, then the Alfa Romeo driver into turn one, looking to hang it around the outside. Will he force him off the track? He doesn't. Very respectful driving from TaDas there, and the Ferrari is into then the lead of the race on that safety car restart. TaDas perhaps taking a leaf out of his teammates' book in terms of safety car restarts, leaving it to the last moment, but he didn't quite execute it in the way he would have wanted, and he has lost out then to Valente, who takes the lead of the race. I'm Not Good, who we saw have those issues earlier on, the pole sitter up to P3 now on 7 lap old mediums. He'll do well to get those till the end, but it's not perhaps out of the question at this point. Depending if we do get perhaps another safety car, we might just be able to stretch those till the end. And Maxi, who had those connection issues earlier on, does currently carry that net P3 after penalties are applied, and perhaps he is looking then to get amongst the top two.
Yeah, it's still to play for in the top. I'm going to say the top 5, to be honest, at this point. I mean, if Adrian can get them softs last to the end, then obviously he'll be up there as well. But it's very unlikely at this point. I'm still standing by that. But yeah, then if you are listening, I've seen you in the chat. You need to teach your teammate how to do your restarts and not get caught out.
TaDas looking to build the gap up then to over a second already, and that will of course benefit him when DRS is enabled on the following lap. Then we're on to lap 19 of 28 of this round 17 race. As it stands, Alfa Romeo will confirm themselves as Constructors Champions in this Season 3. TaDas can bring home this P2 now. We don't think the drivers at the front will have to pit again. I'm Not Good perhaps might need to come into the pit lane again. Interestingly, soft tyre runners of Adrian and Mongo will be interesting to see if they can get those soft tyres till the end without needing another pit stop. But in terms of penalties, as it stands, we've got I'm Not Good on 6 seconds now of corner cutting penalties. Willy Bum on 3, Adrian on 3, Espenio 5 seconds. He picked up somewhere around the line. But he picked up 5 seconds. Assuming speeding in the pit lane, but you never know. Force Manuel with 12 seconds, and Panic and Skibid rounding off the field with 6 seconds of penalties at the moment then. And it is Valente who continues to lead us round then. TaDas has got that gap down slightly now. It's about half a second. He'll need to keep it at that level if he does want the advantage of DRS on the following lap.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job of bringing that gap back down. As there's a few more penalties, Force Manuel's having a right nightmare. He's picked up another 3 second up, and Diamond as well. He's picked himself a time penalty up. Effective. I mean, running in P1 down to P11. That's such a shame for the Mercedes driver there. Can't see him gain further than point back up to Nigel Pigglemore picks the penalty up. I'm not surprised to see so many drivers of penalties at this point. This track is very punishing for track limits. So it isn't the driver's ability, it's just the track limits are a little bit harsh to drivers, especially through the first, well, sector 1 and the S's.
Adrian also giving himself a 3-second time penalty there on top of his further 3-second time penalty for good measure then. And Tadas, interesting enough now, picking up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. That might be crucial at the end of his race. Then Valente doesn't currently carry any time penalties, and the Alfa Romeo then right behind the Ferrari driver who was leapfrogged on the safety car restart. Then it looks like he's going to breeze past him then under DRS and into the braking zone and gets the move done before they even hit the brakes. And Tadas then retakes the lead of the US Grand Prix and doesn't carry that 3-second penalty. He carries that 3 seconds, which could hinder him here. All Valente has to do, of course, is keep that gap now, ensure he doesn't get a penalty either, and the race win is his for the taking. And Magzi perhaps in P3 perhaps senses that as well. He'll be able to see what's going on ahead of him, and perhaps he thinks, you know, he's past I'm Not Good now. Can he close up to these top two and perhaps take advantage of that penalty?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, as we've got Adrian that's round. He's had to set off the racing line here. That's a nightmare for AlphaTauri driver. He hasn't had the best of races here at all. As he does come into the pit lane to get rid of them tyres. That was a shame from Adrian, that was.
Well, I was assuming he would come into the pits to retire, after get rid of the tyres. You never know.
What happened to I'm Not Good?
He did I'm Not Good things. No idea. Maybe he's now running in P13. We were so caught up in the excitement with what's going on with the fraud. There he is, retiring. Oh, he's left the session. Did he retire?
I don't think he's retired.
I'm assuming he doesn't want to come back in. I thought he might have retired. We'll see if he rejoins. As Valente then, still harassing the back of Tadas at the moment, on to lap 21 of 28 so far. The way past, but he doesn't need to anymore if he wants to get the race win. Mags does need to close up slightly if he wants to try and take two at the very least from Tadas as things stand. Force Manure gets himself another 3-second time penalty in P10 at the moment, so he may finish in P10 on the road, but in terms of his penalties, that would definitely not P10 at the moment. Track limits, as we mentioned, are a bit harsh around here, so work in his favour almost. As Mongo then, we've not touched up on Mongo for a while. Or at the moment, TJ, we know he was on the soft tyres, there they are. 5 lap old soft tyres, he put them on lap 17. 10 laps or so on the soft tyre, if he can, it would work really well for him. He hasn't got any penalties either at the moment. He's under a second back from Maxi. He'll find himself on the podium here even.
I think so. I think the worry is for the Red Bull drivers, how quick will them tyres start dropping off once they go over that cliff. I imagine it's they've got another 2, maybe 3 laps where they'll keep the pace up, but after that they'll just start losing grip. And how much time will he lose? And hopefully it doesn't affect him too much, but he is out of ERS deployment as well as he's trying to push to keep in the DRS zone.
Yeah, and he has been pushing to close up that gap, and perhaps the DRS will help him along, and he can save the battery slightly now. Maxi with a much more of a charged battery than the Red Bull driver does seem to be struggling at the moment. Doesn't look like he might be far off a penalty himself, and that would be absolutely catastrophic for his race at the moment. But Williams, they are having a good race at the moment. They are running P3 and P5, and it might not be enough to stop the championship getting away from them at the moment with Tadas' finishing position, but they're definitely having one of the best races in a long time, the Williams team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're in P2 currently in the constructors. I mean, if the results stay the way they are, with no McLaren in the points, this could potentially seal their P2 in the constructors as well. I don't know how many points will be up for grabs afterwards, but they're going to pull a decent lead over the McLaren team at this point. And it's going to be hard for McLaren to pull that gap, bring that gap back down again.
I think with 3 rounds to go, there'll be 122 rounds. Season teams, anyway. 1, 2, the fastest laps, it'll be 122 points. Grabs. So if TJ gets his calculator out, does a bit of maths for us, we'll see. That will do for P2 in the Constructors' Championship. Mongo now completely out of battery, trying to chase down Maxi, who seems to be managing those medium tyres very well at the moment, but is losing touch then with the top two. It is still Belente then harassing the back of Tadas at the moment. Then we know that these two drivers will not need to pit before the end of the race, though, but Tadas is carrying that 3-second time penalty, which at the moment would give Valente the race win here. But of course there is still 5 laps to go then as we enter lap 24 of 28 at the moment, and the Haas drivers who were running 1 and 3 earlier on now run 6 and 7, and with penalties for themselves as well. Espenio has got 8 seconds as well for a good measure, which will drop him back right down to P10, maybe P11, maybe even out the points at the moment as things stand. So yeah, a lot of work to do for the Haas drivers if they want to try and get anywhere near the podium in the next 5 laps.
Yeah, definitely. I can't see Spain doing some hard tyres now, just might do it on the medium tyres. I have just done a bit of calculation with the Williams team, and you don't secure P2 today, there's still too much of a gap, but as results stay the way they are, they'll jump up to about a 50-point gap between themselves and McLaren in 3rd place. So it's still doable by the McLaren team, but it's a lot of work to do with 3 races to go.
Yep, and I'm not good in his teammates' absence, unable at the moment to secure any kind of points as things stand, though, but we'll obviously know a little bit more when penalties are applied at the end of the race. So Valente is looking pretty punchy behind Tadas, then down that DRS straight. He was looking, had a sniff then at the Alfa Romeo, looking to get that lead back at least on the road, even though he's confirmed to be the race winner on the timing screens. As things stand, he wants to do it the proper way on the track. Tadas is definitely being pushed for his worth here, but both of these drivers driving very well at the moment. Yellow flag out in sector 3. Time up good, who's confirmed the misery of his race today. The pole sitting such pace in the rain, TJ. In the wet conditions, he just has not followed that up, and into the big short tyre now at this late stage.
Yeah, there's a Spaniards off possession, so getting back in now. Yeah, and as predicted, I'm not good.
Goes retire. From P13, disappointing for the pole sitter, as I said today. He looked like he had the pace in the wet conditions, but he had a very tricky opening lap, dropped right to the back of the field. And the tyres with 3.5 laps to go then. Not be picking up any points in McLaren today, so a prime opportunity now for Williams, and a prime opportunity for Valente then to get it done on the road against Tadas here, down into the braking zone after the DRS straight, though Tadas looking to get it right on the exit and leaves up the inside. Side by side racing by these two, very respectful all the way, and now Valente back on the inside of the corner, then down round now and forces Tadas wide. Taps wide on his own accord there, and Valente does indeed then get ahead of Tadas on the road. That one's been brewing for a few laps, and Tadas finally beaten by Valente, but can he now find a way back through? It's all pretty much in vain though, thanks to that 3-second time penalty. But of course, with 3 laps to go, if Valente was to pick up a penalty now, this would be for position.
Yeah, definitely. We've been discussing that. Mongo has got the move to Magdi. He did it into the second DRS zone on the exit, but he isn't really dropping Magdi behind him. So, but this is essentially fighting for the last podium place as it stands. With Carson having 3 seconds and the Delta's all gone, and Magsy's gone again.
Oh, Magsy leaving the session then at perhaps a crucial moment as he was looking to secure that podium. Looks like that might work against him now as Mongo might get up the road and out of the DRS zone. Don't have the timing Delta's unfortunate at the moment, thanks to this fantastic game. It seems to be removing drivers left, right, and centre and not giving us the information we need. Maxi back in the car now, though, with 2.5 laps to go as he hunts for this podium. Then, as Tadas and Valente fighting for the lead once again, and Tadas is back ahead then under the DRS.
Yes, that's going to go on to the last lap for definite between these two. I imagine obviously it is in vain for Tadas with that 3-second penalty, but it's still satisfactory to get them to finish P1 on track. As we're still waiting for the Delta to come off because I want to see what's between Mongo and Maxi here. This game is perfect and has no bugs. As now my entire Deltas have disappeared. Fantastic. Cheers, Codemasters.
I think we'll reset as they come over the line then, fingers crossed. Tadas will cross the line now then, and indeed Valente just half a second back at the moment off the Alfa Romeo. Mongo 4.3 off the back of Valente then, so pretty much out of the fight for the top two with 2 laps to go. Maxi's dropped 3 seconds back, now he's in the car, and he's got Nigel Piggle all over for good measure then into turn 1, and Nigel Piggle getting the move done as well. It might not be for position in the end with those penalties, but that is definitely going to hinder any opportunity that Maxi has of a podium at the moment, as even with Tanas' penalty applied, he still finishes P2 at the moment, as Mongo seems to be struggling on those soft tyres.
Yeah, this is just helping Mongo out all the way. I mean, the game has truly screwed over Maxi today. Disconnections twice, and he's just dropped so much time while he's been disconnected. And I reckon the Williams driver would have definitely been on for podium if Codemasters hadn't kicked him out of the lobby numerous times.
Yep, as he looks to get back ahead of Nigel Piggle, then we're watching the fight for the lead at the moment between Tanas and Valente. P1 and P2 is Tanas that currently leads the way on the road, but as mentioned previously, Valente currently will win on those penalties at the moment, though. Maxi, as I said, back ahead then of Nigel Piggle into P4 now then. And with just 1 lap to go, is there any way he can get close to Mongo? Are those soft tyres deteriorated to a point in which they've just fallen off the cliff? I highly doubt it. Mongo's kind of latching on to the back of Valente, some 4 seconds back, so not perhaps losing as much pace as we thought, TJ. And those soft tyres, they went on lap 17, I think it was lap 17, 16, and he's still got pace to keep up with the podium finishes.
Yeah, he's definitely shocked me. I didn't think they'd last 11 laps. I thought after lap 8 he would start dropping off quite dramatically. But he's proved us all wrong, and truly worth of his podium place he's going to pick off, assuming nothing happens between now and him crossing the line. I mean,
TJ, sorry to interrupt, but as you were just talking there, an interesting development then for the lead of this race. Valente on the last lap picks up a 3-second time penalty, which now means that this fight on the road is for the win. Will Valente send it on Tadas? He looks to try to set up the inside. Tadas leaving him enough room, but Tadas surely with a drive off the corner and can defend against the Ferrari, and does so, but can come back from Valente here. Tadas looking to stay ahead, and it's a dive by Valente up the inside. And is that enough then to give Ferrari the win? And I think Valente's given the place back. He looked like he let off there.
Yeah.
He looked like he let off and gave the place back to Tadas. I think he knew, TJ. I know what you're going to say. He knew that it was a little bit naughty there.
Yeah, that's very gentlemanlike of a Ferrari driver there. But yeah, Tadas crosses P1. But okay, something's happened there. Tadas definitely crossed the line P1. Valente's P2. Yeah. Mongo's come across P3.
Yeah, it is then Tadas who wins the US Grand Prix of this Tier 3 round 17 race. It was decided on the last lap. Valente did not need to push at all, but still found himself foul of track limits and picked up a 3-second time penalty. It almost looked like he'd done enough on the last lap to get the race win and snatch it away from Tadas. Or perhaps a little bit sportsmanlike, decided to give the place back, a little bit of a lunge to get the win. But indeed did give the plays back, and it is then Tanas who takes the win, despite the screen saying it was Belente. It wasn't Belente. Belente was P2 on the road, and it was Mongo to round off the podium, then Maxi missing out in P4. We'll watch a Ferrari driver celebrate a victory that isn't his.
I do have to say this as well. I mean, this is obviously pending any students and inquiries, which I don't think will make a difference. But we do have our first Constructors Champion in Tier 3. Alfa Romeo have done enough in this race to pull the advantage they need. So massive congratulations to Snellen and Tadas, who are our Tier 3 Constructor Champions for Alfa Romeo.
Yep, thanks for that, TJ. And there was your classification then for the United States Grand Prix, as I said, in Tier 3. It's round 17 race of our third season in FPRL. Valente then does not win the race. He used P2. Tadas was the winner on the road, despite what the screen may say. Mongo did round off the podium in P3. Maxi did miss out in P4. We'll have to assume the rest of the grid is as it stands at the moment. Nigel Piggle then picking up P5 despite starting P2 on the road. Disappointment for him today. He would have loved to have been on the podium in that last Willy Bum. Picking up 6th for Williams. A strong showing for Williams, despite, as TJ said, they did lose the Constructors title today, maybe. But I think that was kind of a given beforehand. Diamond P7 for Mercedes. Hobnob in P8 for Red Bull. Aspenio P9 for the Haas team. And in P10, rounding off the points positions, it was Panic End in the Aston Martin. We'll see if we can get then TJ, our race winner and newly crowned Constructors Champion, Tanas, into the party, along with the other podium finishers for an interview at the end of the race, of course. Probably to touch upon that, TJ, as we're waiting for them to join. Let's discuss then I'm just going to load up the Alfa Romeo car because they are Constructors Champion. And they've done it early, TJ. You know, we congratulated both Tadas and Seddon, who unfortunately isn't here to see his team get the job done. But, I mean, as a pairing, I mean, we have to discuss this. Obviously, we've been on commentary most of this Tier 3 season. We've watched it all the way through. And Tadas and Seddon surely have just been, you know, a class above the rest of the field in terms of pace. Perhaps it's a little bit unfair. I know some people saying that, perhaps Snedden shouldn't quite have been placed in this tier, and maybe it's a little bit unfair, and that's perhaps why. And obviously, you know, large contribution to that Constructors, but take nothing away from them. As a pairing, they have been very fast against the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely. Even at times when Tadas hasn't had the best races, you know, he still pulled through a podium for the Alfa Romeo team. So yeah, absolutely fantastic from both drivers. I think we knew probably halfway through the season that the Constructors title was going to Alfa Romeo, and it's certainly looking that way for the overall Constructors. But we will be quiet about that for the time being, as we have got our Valente in the party, which is nice.
Yeah, our P2 driver Valente then joins us now. Then we can get a nice interview. Doesn't look like we're going to get our race winner Tadas in the party. I think it's common knowledge really that Tadas doesn't quite join parties for interviews. Mongo, I think that's his first podium this season, so I can't speak for Mongo, but doesn't look like we're going to get him in here either. So TJ, if you want to take us away with an interview of our P2 finishers, say Valente for Ferrari.
Yeah, congratulations on your P2, Valente. Fantastic racing yourself. We'll obviously start with qualifying and the shock of it being starting a little bit damp and then going to extreme wet. How did you find the conditions?
Yeah, not great. I did like one run with 6 laps of fuel in, and I thought I'd get another run on the inters, and all of a sudden it just went to full wets, and I was like, it's done, and I was 7th or 8th, I think, I qualified. But yeah, that was all I had on those tyres. Not very good in the wet.
I mean, even so, you know, with no practice, I mean, you still did good to qualify where you did.
Yeah,
I imagine you were extremely happy when you saw it was a dry race.
yeah, yeah. Much happier with a dry race.
Great news. I mean, there was a few incidents throughout the race, which were sort of safety cars and stuff, and we'll talk about you keeping it nice and clean up until the last lap. I mean, you took advantage of safety cars when you could. So, did that affect your strategy in any way with the safety cars coming out, or did you know what strategy you want to stick to?
The first stint, it kind of came at a good time because I started on the soft, so went on to mediums. And to be fair, the second one came at a good time as well because I could put fresh mediums on, just go to the end. So it didn't really, the safety cars didn't really affect me.
I think that's good. I mean, you had some really good battles on track. I mean, Biddle was following you when you were battling Tadas for P1 and P2. I mean, up until the last lap, it looked like you secured the win.
Oh no.
And then, unfortunately, perhaps maybe pushing a bit too hard, try to get down on track or something, that you did pick that penalty up.
Yeah, I wanted to pass him on the last lap, and that's what I was trying to stick with in DR, like 1 second for DRS in the first sector, and that's what got me my penalty. I didn't want to take a win from someone on penalties. It don't feel like a win. So
yeah.
So I managed to overtake him with like 2 or 3 laps to go, but then the next lap he got me back, and I thought we're just going to keep swapping. So I thought I'll wait till the last lap, and hopefully I'll be able to get past him. But I picked up my penalty.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate. And then obviously coming on the last set of corners, you were battling side by side. It looked like you made a bit of we'll call it a bit of a lunge.
Yeah.
That made some contact, but very gentleman of you to slow down the handling position back to Tadas. Not many drivers would do that, so yes, that's very nice of you to do.
Yeah, it was only fair.
Any reason behind it? Is it just purely because you knew the move was a bit?
Yeah, I knew I'd gone way too deep. I was sort of like watching him in the corner, and all of a sudden I was like, I've outbraked myself here, and then I heard like the wheels banging together. So I knew I'd sort of pushed him wide, so I just eased off and let him go back through. If it was the other way around, I'd have been livid with that. If someone had done that to me and then carried on the last few corners and won it, I'd have been absolutely fuming.
Yeah, I mean,
I just eased off.
It's very gentlemanlike to position back, and I'm sure Tadas will be thanking you for that one as well.
Yeah, it's only fair.
I mean, Biddle, have you got any questions you'd like to ask?
No, just congratulations on P2.
Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, very gentlemanly. I think we touched on it in commentary to give that place back. Some people might have edged their bets with the stewards, but it was nice to see, refreshing to see that you took it upon yourself to get that place back. So I'm sure Tadas will be very grateful for that as well, of course.
Cheers.
But that's all we've got time for tonight. Congratulations to our podium winners, of course. Tadas, who won the race, Belente and P2, who you've just heard on the interview, and Mongo, who picks up his first podium, then finishing P3 for Red Bull today. But please tune in tomorrow. It's Tier 1 that join us tomorrow. It's the same track, of course, around 17 there, to see the next chapter of the AMS Drive and Ali Ferrari fight for that championship. And Tier 2 race on Friday. There's no fight for the championship there. I think Mad User's pretty much gone around, so how things are going. But see if anyone can get a little bit closer to him by the end of that race. And of course, there is just one small piece of business to wrap up tonight's stream. TJ, of course, we do the co-commentators driver of the day. A few candidates. For me personally, I think Belente had a good race. So too did Mongo, but I'm just interested to hear your opinion, who you want to give that driver of the day to.
I mean, yeah, you know, as you mentioned, there's a few candidates. Belente, Mongo. Obviously, Tadas had a fantastic drive, although he did start towards the front of the grid anyway. I am going to give it to Belente. only because I think he has had a fantastic drive. You know, even though it is Mongo's first podium, I think what Valente managed to do on the tyres he was on, and especially start pulling the gap on them older medium tyres, and keeping up with Nigel when he was battling with Nigel. I think it was a fantastic drive from Valente, and I think he fully deserves the Co-Coms driver of the day.
Thanks for that, TJ. So there you have it then. The co-commentator's driver of the day is Valente, who finished P2 on the road after qualifying. I think it was P7 off the top of my head. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it was. And yeah, I don't know if Mongo would agree with that, TJ, but his first podium. But he's not here to argue his case, so yeah, we'll have Valente down as the driver of the day. But yeah, as I said, that's what we've got time for. Please tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. Friday as well. No F2 this week. That will be back the following week for the latest chapter of that. So next time, take care and see you later.